Alrighty, it's time to do some maintenance work. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to do a bit of a shorter video here, which is not going to be focusing much on details, but I'll try to make it short and easy for everyone to understand. We need to do some maintenance here. Now, let me show you what's the problems. Number one problem is this broken hitch. We're going to do a local parts store visit and find a replacement for this homemade one. This one got broken. Then we're going to add more oil because these O-rings here, they're not sealing right, they're just leaking. So I'm going to make sure that everything here is oiled. And we're going to do some fuel filter upgrades, more on that in the video as well. And going to change out some funky pins in the rear, because if you look, some of these pins are here. Well, this one's okay, this one's not okay, that one's not okay, that's just a bolt, that's just a bolt. So we're going to have to do some fiddling around, because these things, well, if they get pushed and pulled all the time, I'm not sure if that bolt is going to hang on very long. So I'm going to just start ripping into this and getting it done. But first, let's visit the local parts store. So here's our local parts store, which is in my backyard. This is the original towing hitch for the front, and I'm going to take it from this bolster where I got the power steering unit from, and going to rip into it because we're going to need one more piece from here. So I'll get into it and get it done. And we have successfully installed the original bracket. Now, I don't know the OEM number for this. If I find it, I'll link it into this video down to this description. This is the original towing bar, and this one is forged. The other one my friend made was just bent over, and well, it wasn't forged, so no wonder it just broke under load. I checked the differential. I just had a little bit of oil here. I mean, these O-rings are leaking, as I said. Now, one thing about these front wheel axles, you want to make sure that this cup here is full, and the level is right where that 12mm square plug ends. And on this side, it's the 17mm plug. So here's your oil. You want to make sure that they are within this oil level, and you're pretty fine. If it runs out of oil in this compartment a little bit, it's not a big deal, because the meshing gear underneath here will still get oil. But if it runs dry here, or here, which is the differential compartment for the front wheel assist, you're looking at a, well, let's say shrapnel coming at your way. So keep in mind, when it's full of oil, it's good. And if it does leak, just make regular checkups and it should be fine. Now, on to what I found from the rear. These ones I couldn't use. These ones were too big. This one I didn't have any use for it because we don't need it, but it's a spare part. And this is the kind of hackery, you know, this is the broken, you can see this one was just bent over and it just cracked. That was the weakest point. These nuts, I'm going to not use these other, I don't know, these are not the OEM nuts at all. I used, this one had really good ones. I put new ones here. So here's the pins I put. This is the upper pin. This is just a worn out bolt in the rear. These are just crown nuts, which are also worn. This was one of the lower pins, just hanging there in hopes. And this is another lower pin, which is just pretty much a bolt where someone has just, I don't know, welded something. This is what was this entire 3-point hitch was hanging on. I mean, these were just about to give way. And when you look at now we have OEM one, OEM pins, all you know, we had quick attachments so I can take the dropper off and put the extensions back. So it's way better now. Also, I need to actually secure this one. Is a bit, I need to take off because it's a bit wobbling around right now, but you definitely don't want this 3-point hitch system to just flop around. Usually these have also PTO cover, but that cover is always schmucked up. So now that we're done here, I'm going to start cleaning the fuel system, and then we're going to proceed with the filters on board and going to see what's the deal with them. But first, let me shut down the fuel, because there we go. I don't want any fuel spills. That's your off position, and the other way, I mean, lower is your on position, your worthless knowledge of the day. So first impressions from the fine cleaner, pre-cleaner. Little bit of sludginess in the bottom. There's definitely been water here at some point, but not too bad. Fuel looks rather clean. I'm going to put this one back. I'm going to let it sit here. There's something there, but it's not too bad. This gasket, however, I'm a bit of a concern. I don't know if I have a replacement, but yeah, she's starting to deteriorate fast, so that might be a bit of a problem. Now, I'm going to clean this one up, and we're going to go to the other side. I'm going to remove this older style filter and the overflow tube, and then I'm going to explain what are we going to do next. And the reason why I'm making it out is this actually should be a line going straight to and ending here. It goes, you know, from the pony engine. There's a brackets here. I don't have these brackets. So basically, the one reason is I'm smelling fuel. It's overflowing. There's no overflow tube. So we're going to have to do a replacement for this filter. We're going to have to modernize this to a more reasonable filter that we can achieve, but more that in the video. Right now I'm going to get busy and strip everything and see where we go from there. Alrighty, we're back. Now we're going to go to the filters part. Now with this overflow tube, this one was a cheap reproduction one. I'm not going to use it. It's bad. It's just not worth it. I have here the original one from a 800 series tractor, this MTZ 80 or 82. And there's the 500 series one, which had that, you know, somebody had just nicked off that overflow tube. So I'm going to put this one back, and I discovered one of the banjos that came off was really bad, but I do have one good banjo, so I'm going to be fine, because we're going to use for the overflow tube a double banjo, so it's not that big of a deal. But to the filter now. This here is the 500 series filter. Now, you can get the elements for these, which are these ones. They're different manufacturers, but they're pretty much all the same dimensional wise. The only problem I have with this old style filter, and also the first 800 series tractors have a similar filter, so don't be surprised. But they're usually replaced with this later style 800 series filter, which the parts number is, let me show you, is a 250-3117-025. So basically that's your direct replacement. And usually you will find on these older 500 series tractors the same thing. The filter has been upgraded. Why? There's a few reasons. First of all is this number 12 gasket, which when we look at the diagram, it should be at this number 20 and 12. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Basically, that gasket is not obtainable anymore. Well, here's the parts number for the 500 series gasket. Now, you can find a replacement, but the real problem is all these gaskets, they're not good. They're either too thick, or they're too thin, or they're not great. And the other problem is these filters, because all you have is this cheapo replacement filters. And one other problem I've run into this is this rubber grommet keeps expanding or contracting with diesel fuel, and it just won't pass any fuel through it. So a lot of the times what I would recommend to you, if you're keen of keeping the older style filter, is to punch this hole larger with a punch and make it sure that fuel flows through it. This has been a culprit of many tractors just not running, not getting fuel, and then usually it's these crappy rubber grommets that are the problem. The filter I'm going with, it is this type. Now this is the direct replacement for this older style filter, which would be fine, but you see there's almost no paper left in it. This one is about $5, and this is the direct replacement. I'll link it down below. All the things that have been replaced here, like the gasket and things, I'm going to put into the description. So this is the replacement filter, but with these ones you have to be careful, because sometimes these rubber grommets don't sit fully into that, you know, that nose cone in the bottom. So you want to have the filter usually completely flush. This one I tested, it's completely flush with the with the with this side here, so it's good. This one I'm going to try, and if this one works, this is going to be the one. Now this one was probably one of the best ones I could salvage. There's a little bit of heaving here. Too bad the original warning decal is gone. From the other filter I salvaged this the cover, because this one came without any cover. And this one is the overflow tube, or the venting tube. This one I took from the original filter. And also all this hardware needs to be replaced as well, because all the hardware is bad. And here this is the donor ones. This is from a scrapyard. Doesn't look that bad, but yuck, this thing has been sitting for a while. This is from my neighbor, where I got the cover on. This one is actually relatively good. It's a bit, you know, pitting going on the outside, but nothing in the inside, so this one's fine. And this is the older style filter, which I'm going to keep, but there's some sludginess in the bottom, but not much. I mean, fine particles. And this is what these filters look like. I actually forgot to you should take these covers off this before installing the filter. I forgot, whoops, but for 2 years, they don't look too bad. I mean, I've seen way worse, so this one looks fine. So I'm going to get busy and assemble this filter, and assemble as much as I can, and we'll come back to the filter part again. And we have installed, or actually I have installed the filters now. This is our new upgraded filter. Of course, there's even a better system and solution. The old and newer Belarus tractors come out since, I believe, 2010, have these screw-on filters. So even this is old school, but it's still better than what we had. And I'm going to show why and explain. But first, we're going to talk about those filters again. Now, if we come to the bench, I actually did some measurements for people like who are interested. Now, for the upgrade filter that we have here, I had to go to the expert catalog, because the older catalog does not provide this filter, because the first ones had the filter that we took off. So here are some of the measurements. This is for this guy over here, the 500 series filter, which is also used on 200 series Belarus tractors. I believe some 400 series use it. And here's the part number, the element number. Here's the diameters, the width, the length. The length is pretty much the same, except when you put the rubber grommets on, the length shrinks a little bit, so it gets a bit wider. And like I said, with this rubber grommets, you have to use a punch and punch it too, because 10 is with the grommets and 12 millimeters is without the grommets. So if you make these calculate these into inches, you can actually might find a Wix or other brand paper filter in general. And the ones that I didn't use, this is another filter. It's the same filter, but another type. I used the M filter because that one's a little bit better than this. It's more paper in it. And here's the measurements for this. So remember, this large filter for the 800 series doesn't have the other side is closed, only this top is open. So here are the measurements. Here's the filter element number, and you can actually find these even on eBay right now, so they're plentiful. These ones are a bit harder to find. So it's without the grommets. This hole here is 18 millimeters, and with the grommets it's 12 millimeters, so around that. Length is pretty much the same. Width is much wider, as you can see. That's 4.8 centimeters. This is 9.2 centimeters. So there's a bit of a difference. You can pause the video and look at this. And now I'm going to say why the older style filter was not that great. And here's the old filter we took off. This is the parts number if anyone's interested. Sorry, I'll put it here now. This is parts number if anyone's interested. But like I said, getting the gaskets and these elements is getting harder and harder, and the quality of these parts is not great. The 800 series has the same problem, but you know that the filter elements are not that great. But look at this. This is your inlet. That's your outlet. And here is the drain plug. And you tell me, because basically these filters here, they would catch some of the larger debris, but if it's a really dirty and contaminated fuel, it'll go straight into the high pressure fuel pump. So this is one of the reasons this element design doesn't just work. It's kind of like just it's there, but it doesn't do anything. So this is one of the reasons why I want to upgrade. And now the second reason for the upgrade, and I'm going to tell you why. The second reason is really simple. If you look at how many paper elements are there and available, the amount is getting shorter, and as I've seen, a lot of the producers, they have taken off a lot of these odd size elements. This is probably the common ones I introduced, but I've seen like a lot of these cartridge oil filters, cartridge hydraulic filters, and even fuel filters they're getting out of they being basically taken out of production. So the best case scenario is you can find a replaceable element that's closest within the dimensions I gave you all, or you just go and put a screw-on filter on. That's probably the easiest solution. But for an older machine, if you want to keep the old appearance, basically you don't have any much choices at all. So my point is that if you can get these filters cheap, then buy a lot of them, because in my region, doing a yearly filter change on the fuel system is pretty much required, because I've seen a lot of this fuel that they make it's not that great, not even for newer machines, where the filters within a year they just plug up. Some of these cheap filters, they don't work at all. Some work kind of finicky. So the upgrade is here to assist me, so I don't run into like some shenanigans with the filters where it's just completely dry inside, or it isn't filtering anything. The 800 series filter is a bit better, so it helps me to get not unfiltered fuel into high pressure fuel pump, because that's really like the last thing I would want to lose. So technically, I'm gonna link a few videos here in this video as well, where the problem with these filter sizes is now getting more active than before. And like I said, a lot of the times you kind of have to know what to deal with and to go a lot of parts catalogs to find the right ones. But I at least hope that some of the stuff I showed will help someone in the future. And that all said, I did actually replace that old funky looking bracket from the 800 series and put the correct 500 series here. Now this thing, the vertical shaft or whatever it's called, is not going anywhere. The only thing I cannot finish this job today is this rubber gasket is completely gone. This will not seal. This banjo bolt had been, my god, somebody had used just Gorilla Force in it. So the threads are a bit schmucked, but I need a banjo fitting for a 8mm size bolt, so I can send all that fuel back into the fuel tank. So, and if someone was wondering, yes, I did check the carrier. That's fine. It's plenty of oil. It's nice looking. Did adjust also the brakes. The brakes were a bit out of adjustment, but that should be now fine. No problems at all. So I'm gonna go into the local parts store and see what I can find, and some 6mm brake line, and hopefully it doesn't spill fuel anymore, but we'll know soon. Alright, it's next day. I decided not to use any more of those rubber gaskets on the fine cleaner. Basically, we're making our own gaskets, and these are the rudimentary setup I use, but it will work. Basically, this is your sealing surface here, and this gasket will go on just exact. I mean, a bit of trimming, but it'll be better than it was. Basically, I'm going to assemble this one, and we're also going to work with this brake line on the return line as well. So I decided, it's time to get busy, and we'll see when this all is done. Alrighty, that deal is sealed, and I rerouted a new return line from here, there, and into the fuel tank. Originally it comes from somewhere else. Maybe I found a picture or a schematic where that return line should be. I don't want to put it that way. There's the hot exhaust. So this side is relatively fine. So now I've purged out all the air. Let's see how this thing works. Let's see if we can find any leaks. Well, there you are, buddy. Thought lost you forever. What a deal. Yes. And we're kind of summing up the video. Fuel system upgrade is done, and hopefully it works. In next videos, it's gonna be just more epic log hauling, I guess. And that's about it. This is all video. I'm going to relax and enjoy just nature for a while. And I hope you find this video useful, and leave me a comment and like. And also subscribe if you want. So thanks everyone for being here, and see you in the next videos. Bye.